If you have ever been in a medical appointment and the doctor says, well, your test results look good, or your labs are normal, and you're just sitting there thinking, okay, but I feel awful, and you don't know what to say next, this video is for you. Because that moment is brutal. I know. I've been there. You finally get the appointment, you waited forever, you walked in slightly hopeful, and it took all your spoons to get that hopeful. You explain what is happening in your body, and they say it like it should be the end of the conversation. Your labs are normal. And you're like, no, I am not normal. I am not fine. Something is still going on here. Look, this is what most people walk into that room carrying. You've got the chronic pain, debilitating fatigue, and whatever other symptoms are plaguing you that you're asking your doctor to figure out. Symptoms, real heavy symptoms, the stuff that is messing with your life every single day. Oh, and don't forget this, the fear, the tangled knot in your stomach that something is being missed. And you know what else comes out with that bag, what people carry in their appointments? No words. Most people do not walk into appointments with the words that they need for the minute that things go sideways. And I want to say this very clearly. You should not have to. It is wildly unfair that anyone has to get strategic just to get safe medical care. That puts way too much burden on the person who is literally in the room because something is wrong inside their body. But here we are. And if we cannot change the system in the next 10 minutes, then we need tools for what is actually happening in that room. This is why I made Words That Work. This video is the companion to it, and I want to explain the thought process behind it, how to use it in real life without you having to become some perfectly calm robot version of yourself. So here's what it really comes down to. People think that medical self-advocacy is about being louder or being more prepared. You can find checklists online for the 10 things to do to advocate for yourself in an appointment. And do you know what they say? Really helpful stuff like bring a notebook, ask questions, have someone with you. Now, don't get me wrong, those are all helpful things that you probably should be doing. But they do not fix the moment when the doctor says your labs are normal and your stomach drops. What fixes that moment is having a strategy for what to say next. I learned that at the bedside. As a new nurse, I learned very quickly that you cannot just make a request of a doctor and expect it to land. I saw egos running the room very early on. I watched how the same information could get ignored or taken seriously depending on how it was said. For a long time, I was furious about that because it's unsafe, ridiculous, and unfair. But eventually I got to this place of, okay, if I cannot change other people, if I cannot change the system dynamics at play, what can I do? Well, I can learn how the room works. And now I can teach you how to show up in a way that gets you heard. So the method behind all of my communication strategies is very simple. Side note, simple does not equal easy. Step 1, start with validation and empathy. I can hear some hair on the back of the neck standing up, right? Because why should I have to validate or have empathy for my doctor? Well, you don't have to, but if you would like to change what is in your control to change, to be able to get different results, step 1 is validation and empathy. At the end of the day, they're human too, and we know that when we lead with validation and empathy in whatever we are communicating to whatever other human being, everything else that comes next is a lot likely to fall on open ears. Step 2 is state the facts clearly and unemotionally. This one is where it is incredibly helpful to have a second person in the room with you, either physically or by phone, because when it is the things that are happening to you and your body, it is so difficult to speak in a calm, clear, rational, unemotional tone. Ask me how I know. I've been there, guys. I have my own medical horror story that led to me being here doing this work today. But then step 3 is then make the request. Most people jump to this part, and it just simply is not very effective. You're not trying to win an argument. You are not trying to prove that you are right. You are trying to get the situation back on track. And it's really, really hard to figure out in the moment what words will get you there. This is where the scripts come in. Let me show you what I mean with one of my favorite examples. This chart is the exact moment that Words at Work was made for. Your doctor says the labs are normal. You had a fork in the road. One path is what most people do without the words. You freeze, plead, shut down, over-explain, bring up something on the internet that you saw and hope that they listen. And then you leave feeling small and frustrated and confused, like you waited all that time for nothing, and your health is still deteriorating and you're no closer to answers. Let me explain what's really going on in your body in that moment, because this is not you being weak or dramatic or bad at communicating. When you get dismissed or rushed in that appointment, your fight or flight response gets triggered. And it makes sense that it does this, because this is your health, your physical safety. Your nervous system is perceiving this as a threat to your life. And that might sound dramatic, but it kind of is, really. And when that fight or flight response gets triggered, your brain literally loses capacity to think clearly, calmly, and rationally. You cannot just magically come up with the perfect sentence on the spot because your body is like, danger, danger, danger. This is why you freeze or you start begging or shut down. Those are nervous system responses. And this is the part that people miss when they are like, oh, just advocate for yourself. Like, okay, cool. But advocate with what words when your brain is offline? Again, I know because I've been there. I created this as a tool that I wish I had when these things were happening to me. This is why I know that having the scripts is so powerful. They're an instruction manual for what to say when your brain cannot generate the clear, calm language on its own. So as long as you can remember to have them up on your phone, because I made them mobile friendly first, that you can just take screenshots and have it saved, you will not lose control of the situation. You are not here we are not trying to invent language in a crisis. You are just using the language you already decided on when you were thinking clearly. That is the whole point. Because see, this is the other path. That is what happens next when you have that strategy and those words in your hand. You say one line that forces the conversation to keep going, and you get clarity. You get a next step that actually makes sense. Even if the next step is how to get answers from your doctor somewhere else or how to get a second opinion, you still leave with direction instead of chaos. That is the whole point. Not to make you into a different person, but just to get you onto the other path. Now, I want to show you the other situations this guide covers and what the scripts can do for you in those moments. Situation 1 is dismissal. Labs are normal is a form of this. It could also be, let's wait and see, or my personal favorite, it's probably anxiety. Have you heard that one before? And or stress. And your body's just like, no, that does not explain what is going on with me right now. The scripts for dismissal are built to interrupt the end of the conversation that comes too early and to force the room back into investigation mode. They make it really hard for somebody to just reassure you and move on without explaining symptoms that do not match the data. Situation 2 is rushing. You feel the appointment slipping away. You are mid-sentence and they are already typing or pivoting or basically halfway out the door, or better yet, they walk into the room saying that we're short on time today. These rushing scripts are built to slow the pace long enough for you to actually get your story out and for the plan to be based on the right picture. They reset the rhythm of the room without you having to become loud or frantic. Situation 3 is for when the plan feels wrong. Maybe it's a medication. Maybe it's a surgery. Maybe it's a referral that just, doesn't fit. Maybe it is the wait and see and your gut is screaming for, no, we need to do something now. These scripts are built to make the provider connect the plan to your actual symptoms with reasoning, not just authority. They help to pull the conversation into logic so that you can make a medical decision that actually fits your case. That is what this guide is for. It gives you the exact words in that moment so you are not trying to invent courage and perfect phrasing on the spot. It's also built with an intensity dial. You have levels. You do not have to go from 0 to 100 in one sentence. Sometimes one gentle line gets the room to slow down. Sometimes you have to turn it up. But either way, you won't be scrambling for the words in real time while someone is halfway out the door. Here's how the dial works. First is pause. You slow the pace of the room that is rushing past you. Next, we have redirect. You steer it from the off of reassurance and back into investigation. Third is interrupt. It's a clean, calm stop. Not rude, but direct. You cut in before the conversation ends early. And fourth is override. This is a hard stop, safety boundary when things are still moving on and you need them to pull back. If you remember nothing else from this video, I want you to remember this. You have levels, you have options, and you are not stuck with freezing, begging, exploding, or shutting down. Let me be very clear. Me giving you strategy does not mean that I think you are the problem. You are not the problem. The American healthcare system today is the problem. It has become largely shaped and whittled into efficiency and profitability over patient outcomes. That is the problem. And if I knew how to solve that problem, I would be making an entirely different video. But I don't. But I do know how to change our approach in an exam room to actually get things moving the right way. That is why I am here. It is unfair that this is necessary. It is not normal for you to have to manage your tone to get safe care. We should not live in a world where emotion gets you dismissed. We should not have to navigate egos and logic. But we do not get to choose the system that we are walking into today. We only get to choose how we walk in. So this guide is not me saying fix yourself. This is me saying you deserve tools for the reality that you're living in. Before, you walked into appointments carrying symptoms and fear and hoping the right words would show up when you need them. Now, you can walk in with the words that work right in your hand. Before, you leave feeling crazy or too much or like you should just be grateful that they said you're fine. But now, you can leave with clarity. Either a proper investigation or at least the next step that gets you there. Before, the appointment is a blur. You're reacting. Now, you get to steer it. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are navigating a system that moves fast and misses nuance. You need a strategy. And you should not have to get strategic to get safe care. But until the system changes, strategy is how you protect yourself. So here is my ask. Please go download the Words That Work guide below. It's free. It will change the way you walk into every medical appointment. Put it on your phone, print it out, keep it in your purse, take the screenshots, and walk in armed. And if you open it up and you love it and you go, wow, this is exactly what I needed, share it with 2 people you love. Because with your help, we can give everybody the words that work when the system doesn't.